Listeners of the Tron podcast, this is your host, Rashad Woods. I'm very excited today for this special guest who came over from California as a guest. He is involved with children's youth and now inspiring the next generation of Latino leaders. He's gone through trials and tribulations himself, so he knows exactly the space that he's coming from when he's giving his advice. He's a public speaker, and more importantly, he's a great human being. Raul T, Pereira. How you doing, sir?
Good, Rashad. It's good to see you. I am so honored to be on your show. I think your podcast has a very positive message. So I am among giants. I saw some of your guests, and I'm humbled and honored to be here.
I appreciate that. I got a chance to really look at your background, and I was very inspired because you took what would have crushed a lot of people and you turned it into something positive, and you made a very good act of yourself. And more importantly, you spread messages. All your social media links are very uplifting and basically saying you are not defined by your limitations of your own self. So please tell your background first.
Okay, well, my background is this. Oh, here's the thing, right? Because for the longest time, and it's human nature, for the longest time, I was stuck in old beliefs, in old stories. I like to tell people it's the stories we tell ourselves, right? So
Yes.
My origin story really began in East Los Angeles, California. And the hard part is this, because it still gives me chills, but it also gives me strength. I grew up in a household of alcoholism. My father is and was and is still is an alcoholic. So you can only imagine as a little child, you grow up in survival mode. And it's really, there's the psychology behind that. It's post-traumatic, growth and efforts that I'm now benefiting from. But at the moment, I didn't know if I was going to get the loving, caring version or if I was going to get the violent alcoholic who tore our house apart, and really made it miserable for mom and my two siblings. And I was the youngest one. I was always hopeful, but I always remember growing up, it was either one extreme or the other. It was either love or fear. And that messes with you. It's traumatic, right? And if you can think about, post-traumatic, right, symptoms, right? This was drip by drip, year by year, by year. And that really takes its tolls, because I was able to, as a young man, be guarded, because I was developing a survival skill, really, if you think about it, right? From our reptilian brain sense of talk, I was really good at surviving, really good at not showing love, because I had this assumption that if I show love,
weakness,
it's never gonna last.
Yeah.
It's not gonna last, right? And the other thing was, the protective pattern I developed was like, well, if I let people in, they're gonna hurt me.
Yeah, it was
I
a
didn't let
cocoon
people
you wrapped yourself in. Yeah.
Totally. And exactly, that cocoon was safety, right? It was being safe, being able to survive. And then it turned out, as I started becoming a teenager and a young adult, where I started binge drinking.
Right.
I started being away Thursday through Sunday. Everybody knew, like, oh, Raul's not around Thursday through Sunday because he's a big party freak. Yeah, I took on that identity because I didn't want to be around the household. Mm-hmm. And then I continued that, some would say, a destructive pattern of living in terms of social life, drinking, partying. Mm. But I also was looking for more escape. So I started achieving more. Right. I started going through, academics, and became an A student, became a dean's list guy, became the graduate student. I started managing, just taking off. And everybody was like, wow, dude, you came up from an effed up background and look at what you're doing. Right. But guess what, Rashad? Inside,
I'm still hurting.
Oh my goodness, my brother. I felt like an imposter inside.
Isn't that crazy? Isn't that absolutely bonkers, right? That the people who are looking around you say that you're successful, you have everything going for you, and inside you're like, you don't really know. You really have no idea, right? And that is such an odd, I don't want to say cross to carry, but it's a heck of a burden in life from the outside looking in and say, I'm really not that happy.
And you know what, the twisted part, I love the way you said it, burden to carry. The twisted part is, the more I heard people say, wow, you really got it together, Raul, or I am so happy that you survived and you're really doing something out of your life, the more I felt like I had to continue to uplift that image. And it was fake. But But let me throw a little bit more at you then, just so I think that our listeners, so you're out there, you can be like, okay, well, yes, welcome to the world, Raul. It's cruel and whatnot. It is, but and it will continue to be cruel unless you do something about it.
Correct.
So fast forward 21. December 2021, we were visiting friends in the Bay Area over here in California, like San Francisco area, and I had a severe case of appendicitis gone sideways, multiple hospital visits, multiple surgeries, and I had a PICC line. I was being fed through a PICC line for 3 months in bed. It was horrendous.
Oh my goodness.
And laying between the walls of the hospital and in bed and throughout the time of healing, I had a lot of thinking. I mean, a lot of thinking to do and a lot of crying. I cried so much because when I was at the hospital initially, when we were visiting friends, it was around this time, actually in December. It was during COVID and I was up on the 8th floor, I believe. And I was looking down at the window and I was looking at my 2 children with their raincoats and their little boots waving up at me. And it was Christmas Day.
And there you are in the
and
hospital.
that crushed me, man.
Sure.
That day, Rashad, I was in bed, and for the first time, I just cried and didn't want to numb the pain. I didn't want to run away from it. And I sat with it. I sat with it. I sat with it.
Oh my gosh. I mean,
and
the reality about it is that, well, everybody gets to celebrate their holidays. Obviously, you always look at it from 2 perspectives. Number 1, I should be out there. Number 2, there are people who have it worse than me because I'm cognizant, I'm aware. Some people can't even open their eyes. But at the same time, in your personal life, it's like, okay, you know what? This is rock bottom. This is as bad as it got for me. And so now we're going to open up door number 2 because the reality about it is that there are second chapters in life, right?
Absolutely.
The company that I created for this podcast is called Second Half Promotions, right? And the reason I call it Second Half Promotions is because I'm in the second half of my life, so I look at it as, athletics notwithstanding, you can change and you can be involved with things. Your soccer or your football career is over. That ship has sailed. But your personal and professional well-being can accelerate.
Yes. And I'm glad you went there because that's exactly what happened to me. I've had an awakening, a second chance, like you said. In there, I had a profound, deep thought, and then I went all in. So the thought was this. I was reflecting of all the crappy situations in my life and how I always was like, why me? Like, fuck, man. It's like alcoholism in my life. And I finally found the love of my life. We have 2 beautiful children. And now I'm in the, like, is this what really life's about?
Right.
Like, I want to be there for my kids, and it sucked.
Right.
And then I had the light bulb moment was, you know what, Raul? This just didn't happen to you, all of it, this didn't happen to you. It happened for you.
Right.
And it happened for me to make sense and to start giving meaning to my experiences and to my past.
Right.
And that was my wake-up moment because as soon as I started to heal, I went all in on psychology and learning. My background is in leadership, it's in human resources.
Well,
learning and development. So I already know kind of the way humans developed in terms of a learning environment.
Right.
And there was always something missing. And that missing link was the internal transformation.
Right.
And that's when that light bulb came on.
Well, it's funny you say that because I was going to talk about your background. You didn't come from a place of you're educated in the field of human development and betterment, professionally and standards and things of that nature. But a lot of times, from experience and just life, you have to live those words that you're speaking, right? It sounds like a cliche, but it's like, hey, think positive. Hey, be slow to anger. Hey, observe, listen, all those things. It sounds like corny things because they look like bullet points when you actually read about them. But to actually practice this is very difficult. It's extremely difficult.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I think we're cut from the same cloth.
It's hard, man. I'm not gonna say I've lived by it, but you know, when you do occasionally like find yourself
Mhm.
not doing those things, you're like, dang man, I actually reacted in the way that I was supposed to.
You surprise
Yeah, you're
yourself,
like,
right?
you know, like wow, that actually, you know, by not doing something stupid, you know, just to veer off, like driving, it can be
Yeah.
something so simple as driving in your car. Is it really
Yeah.
worth if somebody cuts you off to get back at? Is it like really like is the 5 seconds or 20 seconds or 2 minutes
Mhm.
that you could have got it back worth your life?
Yeah. 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 And I think this is why I, I'm I'm so happy I'm here, because I think, I'm able to come from a place of, now I'm able in the last 4 years, in terms of my own personal growth and transformation, I'm able to come to a place where I'm actually happy,
Yeah,
and I'm filled with gratitude.
right.
And again, honestly, I am grateful that I grew up with an alcoholic. I am grateful that I went through this health emergency and I was out for 3, 4 months. I am grateful it happened for me, because with that insight, if I was unable to look into um, that invisible bag, I call it, right?
Right.
That I was carrying as a child and as an adult, that bag is heavy, man. You carry it with
Yeah.
you, and there's truth behind this idea. Is like, oh, that woman or that man comes with a lot of
Right.
baggage, right? That's exactly it.
Right.
It's the metaphor,
Right.
and when I talk about bag, I talk about the
Yeah.
beliefs, right? And then that's the B, and the A is the assumptions that hold up those
Right.
beliefs, and then the G is the guardians, is the protective behaviors that manifest because of the beliefs and the assumptions. And for me, I shared some of those limiting beliefs as a kid.
Yeah.
Like, if I trust people, they're going to hurt me, so I'm not going to trust
Well,
anymore.
I think the other
You
thing
know?
that happens to us is that, you know, I didn't have a background like yours, but I think what can happen to people is that I've said it before, you get zip coded in life, right? So your zip code ultimately becomes your world. And so your beliefs start being shaped by your ultimate surroundings, regardless of where you live. And so you start putting limitations because you know exactly your environment like the back of your hand. You can drive somewhere and not even know
Yeah.
how you actually got there. Name the street you turned on. You probably could. You know, name, you know, the specific area where something, but you have a point of reference. So we've become conditioned to things that are familiar to us. And so
Hmm.
typically speaking, you know, you reach a stage in life where, you know, as a kid, you're curious, but sometimes in stages of adulthood, you get less curious and you become more safe. You know, in your case, it was at a younger age, but people tend to gravitate towards things that make them safe. And the unknown is very difficult. And I say this as a martial arts analogy because I have a black belt in in karate,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And yes, you're supposed to try to diffuse a situation. You're supposed to always walk away. I'm not advocating violence on any level. But if you do have to defend yourself, the first thing they tell you is to walk towards the danger, right? That means like because it's analogy of a baseball bat. It's much better to get hit with somebody starting to swing than at the tip of it. The windup is what hurts you. The actual, you know, the full completion of a swing hurts you. The windup, you have a chance to stop. So you're supposed to come in and stop that baseball bat from hitting you.
Yeah, that's a great analogy, my brother, because for me it speaks to what I teach and what I believe in. Now it's like behavior is contagious.
Yes.
It's in your zip code, right? So if you surround yourself with toxic people, or if in my case, I'll be honest with you, before I met my lovely wife, my circle was more alcoholics. My circle was
Correct.
more party animals. My circle was women or in relationships, and no disrespect to my wife, but being in a relationship where let's just stay, watch a movie, and get drunk out of our faces, because that was my wind up. That was my safety. That was
Correct.
my what I knew. That's like my identity.
Right.
And what I'm grateful for now is that I've discovered that I'm the author of my identity. I'm the author
Yeah.
of those bags that I've carried. I have the power, and it's the initial awareness and the wake up call that we know people have dreams, and we know that especially people in leadership who want to make a difference in
Right.
others, and they're leading great folks and they have great missions, they want to show up, but then they still look at people in a negative light, or they come with empty hearts or not necessarily showing up
Right.
as who they really are because they're not confident, because they have these stories, right? The wind up part. I love that analogy. It's like you have, you know,
You gotta plow through it.
a condition. Yeah, being conditioned so much in your life that this is all you know. So this is how you're going to show
Yeah,
up.
and I thought it was interesting when I was looking at your Instagram profile. You said, one of the ways you overcome is I belong in this room. I belong to be
Yeah.
sitting at this table.
Mhm.
Even the most confident, you've heard CEOs that'll say privately, man, I was insecure the first time I got into a leadership
Yeah.
position because I didn't believe that I belonged in that room. So sometimes what happens is that if you do come from humble beginnings, right? You look at people
Mhm.
who are successful, and then let's say you start breaking through, and you're in, you didn't. I don't want to bash anybody's background, but let's say you had to
Mhm.
really like get to a certain point to get in a certain room, and you're like, man, I didn't have a parent that was a VP or didn't have a parent that was at a high level, and now I'm in this room with all these smart people, so to speak,
Mhm.
and I
Mhm.
came
Mhm.
from East Los Angeles, and I'm like, am I
Mhm.
really
Mhm.
supposed to be amongst this group of people? Because like these are the unicorns, and you know what I'm saying? Like, people can have that,
Yeah.
right? Like, it's like if you didn't go to the prep school to get to the college, athletics, and then next, you were at smaller school, and you're like, am I really supposed to be here with all these preps kids?
Yeah.
And you can get secretly insecure about your own skill set.
Absolutely. And I think this is why I'm so happy. Again, I'm so grateful because if I, if I don't have the awareness to look at my bag, right, look at my baggage,
Right.
and actually look at all the leaps and jumps and successes I've had in my life, that's the proof that I've done it before and that I can actually succeed in life and I actually belong. Because if once I am able to look at those stories that I carry with me in my bag and give them new meaning because it happened for me or it happens for you, then I'm able to say, yeah, I actually do
Right.
belong. I've made these these big jumps in my life, and I went through the schools, and I took my lickings, I took my I earned my seat at the table
Yes.
because this is my the record shows that I've done this. The problem becomes when our beautiful people, we're human, right? The problem becomes when we allow the old stories to hold us back, to keep us stuck,
Oh, for sure.
to and not really take that leap, or to stay stay continue to feel like a fraud. It's like, I don't really belong
Well,
here, and that's when you get spiraled down.
Well, I'm going to talk about your RTP learning in a minute, but it's almost like in martial arts, I would never learn from an instructor who never said they got their butt whooped. I would never, personally, I could never train under anybody who told me with a straight face, I never got smoked. I would be like, that's
Yeah.
because it's impossible. It's impossible. It is categorically, if you are an instructor and you are teaching, I don't care what style it is. If you say you never got smoked, hey man, when I first got in, I thought I was athletic. Right. So it's like life. Like, you can coach people because you're not like, hey man, I didn't just put a plaque on a wall and take an online course and listen to YouTube and tell you a
Uh-huh.
bunch of
Uh-huh.
inspirational words. You could be like, listen, man, dude, I had an alcoholic father. I went through some, the proverbial S word, and I can tell
Yeah.
you from a pure place what the other side is like, and this is why this is
Yeah.
going to work for you to avoid that. So it's the same analogy, man. Don't tell me, that you can instruct me in martial arts and you're like, yeah, I never got clocked and got my bell rung. It just doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that.
No, it doesn't. And I love it. And this kind of merges to my other lived reality as a quote unquote
Yeah.
professional working in human resources and what we call learning and development, and even teaching. I was teaching for about 4 years as an instructor, part time,
Right.
but I always was in front of people in terms of teaching or training. And the part that you're talking about is a lot of people or a lot of CEOs or in leadership would say, here, Raul, just give me the shortcut, give me the quick fix, give me the checklist. We're going to throw training at the problem. And I knew back then that, oh, okay, we'll do it. You're paying me to train. I'm going to take your check and
Yeah, yeah.
I'm going to train you on the top 10 qualities that
It's
make
hard for
the
you to have
perfect
that
CEO.
conversation with that person that wants an immediate result and say, listen, man, you can
You're going to get beat
You're
up.
gonna, yeah, like, I'm just gonna tell you right now, like, man, like, hey man, let's just put this food straight to market. It's like, nah, man, we really need to test to see if it has allergens involved with it. You know what I mean? Like, this
Yeah,
is this is not gonna end well if I don't at least like food test this food.
absolutely. That's, your analogy about martial arts. It's like, And now, knock on wood, I am so, again, grateful and thankful to the good Lord that I can choose and pick who I want to work with. I'm not chasing money. And that's part of my chapter 2, right? There's no need. I come with gratitude, abundance minded,
Right.
that I'm going to work with the person who understands that internal transformation is where it starts.
Right.
If you want to express your success and externally and be able to lead a team or scale your company or whatever your goal is, that you will have a better opportunity to do that with a self-centered, clear inner transformation. So you're super crystal clear on who you are, how you show up, and who you're taking with you, is what I remember seeing in my trainings, where what I end up talking about is like, I'm gonna get a little bit nerdy here, but you cannot solve what we call adaptive mental problems with technical solutions, because that's what our current training systems like. It's like throw a checklist at it,
bad boy.
give them more.
Just AI that.
You know what I mean? It's like you can't do that. It's like you must provide adaptive solutions to adaptive problems. So this is where I'm at today. It's like, once you learn to become an author of your own stories, you're becoming an adaptive master. You're learning the moves of becoming more and more adaptive, and that's the person who's going to win.
Well, I think that, when I was looking at some of the testimonials of your coaching, I think a lot of people, are seeking services that you provide. So can you talk about, like, the services you provide, the type of people that reach out to you, and even, to a degree, what the introductory call really would be about, what stage somebody would be at when they reach out to you?
Sure. Great. Thank you. So there's a couple of things. One is I don't advertise it as heavily, but I love training, and I do provide strategy and or training to organizations of all sizes, usually virtual, and it's learning and development. And it's really my style is the behavioral outcomes. Like, if there's if the outcome of the training is just more tactics, then I'm not your guy.
Right.
But if you want the training to actually be more behavioral change, then I am your guy. So that's number one. And number two, where I'm really going all in, is on one-on-one coaching.
Right.
I'm doing a lot of this part-time because I stay home with my kids, and the afternoons my time is dedicated to the kids.
Beautiful.
And if you have kids, you have to be on them, right?
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So my mornings are dedicated to one-on-one coaching, and what I'm doing now is I get a lot of pleasure out of it. This is part of my purpose, my calling. When I do the one-on-one coaching, I see the dramatic transformation of people and of individuals. So one of the things that I'm doing now is I allow not the right word. I provide people with a 5-day experience. Yeah. So it's not necessarily a call, but it's I have a landing page, or at least a conversation, because I want people to be like, what, Raul, I like your vibe. I'm dealing with my own demons. I have this imposter syndrome, and I really want to become more effective and more confident in how I show up.
Yeah.
Then I have a 5-day challenge. It's a 30-minute call each day, and it's a challenge to see how much can you transform in 5 days, because the transformation is what happens with your belief systems. And that's the introductory. It's a free offer that I give the listeners. And at that point, at day 5, I was like, if you want to continue to work with me, then this is what it would look like. If not, hey, congratulations, 5 days of transformation. I love you. I want to see you grow. I want to see your success, because I'm here to serve.
Well, it's funny you say 5 days, right? Because you'll ask everybody will take that intro call, right? Like, it's cool, it's free, no problem. Do 4 more straight days of that. Right. So, like, it's the same thing. Like, it's like the New Year's resolution at the gym. Everybody's got the brand new clothes that still have from last year that still have the tags on them. Right. You know what I mean? Like the brand new shoe. You can tell. Like, listen. I'm far from a fit Adonis, right? But I do go to the gym regularly, and you know exactly what happens between New Year's Eve and like Valentine's Day. It's like all brand new. This is the new me, and then like as soon as the weather breaks, it's like I'm not judging. Like, God knows I'm not judging.
Yeah.
Having said that, sticking with it is hard. Sticking with it, I don't care what it is. The 5-day coaching is hard. Sticking with the workout is hard. Eating vegetables and putting away the potato chips is hard. It's supposed it really, like when there was a sign at the jiu-jitsu place that I train, I do karate much better than jujitsu. Full disclosure.
Okay.
And it says embrace the suck. Like you literally, like the old adage of listen, this is what I've started to learn. If something sucks, but it's working out for your benefit, stick with it.
I love it. And that's what behavioral change is about, right? If I didn't go there, if I didn't start unpacking the story that I was always going to be a victim of an alcoholic parent, I would never have quit. I quit drinking. I would never have used that limiting story and transformed it into something that gave me energy and rocket fuel, right? Because now this bag that I carried is my jetpack because I'm flying. It's beautiful. And this is why I love being on shows like yours, because we get to talk about the real things, right? Like we'll talk up here, surfacey, technical things, but then, let's go a little deeper because this is what,
Well, the problem is it's actually not that complicated, right? If you actually break it down to its core elements, it's not that difficult. Like, right? So like, stay away from the complaint. Like, like anybody who's ever read the 48 Laws of Power, right? They'll tell you one of the chapters in there. I can't think of the chapter. Stay away from the unlucky. Right, I know it sounds like a cliche. Literally, if there is a person who always somehow finds themselves in something, and at some point, it's got to be them, and maybe it's you, right? And then you sit back and say, how did this end up? And to your point, it was a hospital bed with you. I'm not saying medical conditions don't happen, but at that moment when you're waving to your kids on Christmas, you'd be like, if I did anything to contribute to me sitting here at this moment and not being outside, then it's up to me to fix it.
Yeah. It's funny. You said that it is easy, but it's also difficult for many people.
It is.
Because it's identity based. Like, Raul, you're asking me to let go of all my alcoholic friends who love to party Thursday through Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
What are they going to think about me? It doesn't even matter.
Right.
It doesn't matter. It's taking that step and saying, I'm willing to elevate my standards, and because I'm becoming a better person.
Right.
And if I fall below those standards, then I'm falling back to those old patterns. And then who do you have to blame? At some point, I have to stop blaming my father. I have to stop blaming my circumstances and my situations and my friends. At some point, you got to be like, shoot, there's nobody else to blame.
Right. I remember
but yourself.
I was listening to a quote from Andre Ward. I don't know if you know who Andre Ward is. Former light heavyweight super middleweight champion boxer.
Okay.
And he was, he turned his life around. He said he was in the streets of Oakland doing things he wasn't supposed to be doing. And he's like, it's funny, my circle got smaller when I stopped doing terrible things.
And I love it. That's exactly it. It's okay.
Yeah, he was like, it was funny. He was like, as long as I was doing the destructive things, I had a lot of people around me. But as soon as I changed my life around, he was like, all of a sudden, it was like, why you want to do that? And he's like, it just got smaller and smaller and smaller. Because to your point, what you're trying to do, a very smaller circle of people are willing to do what you're trying to do.
And this is why I'm able to say it's a free challenge that I give you, because again, no disrespect to nobody. I love you. I haven't met you, but I love you because I've been there.
Oh, yeah.
It takes a lot of courage to be like, shoot. Well, first of all, okay, this guy, I vibe with this guy, but I'm not there yet. So I'm not going to take him up on the offer. Or, someone's like, shoot, I'm going to take, I think I'm ready. I think I'm sick and tired of being an imposter.
Exactly.
And that's the person I want to work with. And again, we're all tippy-toeing. It's human nature.
Oh, for sure.
I was there.
For sure.
There's a difference between like, oh yeah, I know I have a problem, blah 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 blah. Okay, there is a difference between being able to articulate that and acknowledge that, and then execute.
Yeah, and listen, I people are probably sick of hearing this on the show. I said I literally found out like I was active but not in shape because it finally took like the visual of what I actually look like to realize like you're not actually committed to getting yourself in the best shape possible because you still eat like trash. And so, right.
I love it.
And like when you actually start eating right and you actually start, and you see the results, you're like, well, damn, if I'd have did this 10 years ago, it could have been like this long. But like I was lying to myself. Like you were literally fooling, oh man, I can eat all this and still, do a 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours worth of workouts. But I'll look a certain way as long as I turn in the mirror the right way. And you're like, nah, man, that ain't it. Like, no, you really do have to eat like avocados and eggs and almond butter and broccoli and cauliflower.
Oh, man.
It really is. And it sucks.
Absolutely. It does. But Rashad, you actually, again, you hitting it on the nail because we are committed to the identity of what we're doing. Like, you show me your results and I'm going to be able to know who you are. You show me your calendar, you show me what you're committed to. Yeah. You might say you committed to going to the gym, but if you're out there eating that donut, you're committed to eating that donut.
Well, it's funny
because you know what I
it's
mean?
funny you say the calendar, right? Because like you'll find out when you actually like if you're actually trying to do things that are successful, if you ain't got a calendar, you ain't serious. Like you like I'm gonna tell you right now, because anybody who's tried to freestyle it's bombed epically, right? Like you cannot accomplish anything that you want to accomplish if you don't have calendars. That is the first step. Is putting it with the reminder. It's gonna suck when you want to take a nap and that alarm's gonna go off and you're gonna be like, damn, I really didn't want to do that. But once you start structuring yourself, then you'll be like, you'll start looking 2 or 3 days ahead. Do I need to modify that? Do I need to change that? This is upcoming. I can't miss this thing. Okay, I can push this back. And that's okay, but you have a plan.
Absolutely. And I think the more you're able, like habits and all that, it sucks. It's hard, but I promise you, whatever frameworks you end up using for your own transformation, the more you stick it through and you start what's the word I'm looking for? Putting it in a calendar, to use your words, the more consistent you're going to be at looking for the results or going after the results you're looking for. And pretty soon you're going to really identify yourself as like, well, I'm somebody who goes to the gym. I'm not somebody who breaks down and starts drinking alcohol or eating those sugary snacks because that's not who I identify with anymore. You're not going to vocalize that, but that's what's happening internally.
You're right. And I always, for everybody who will always say, they're too busy, I'll always say this, like, if you ever find yourself in front of the Shark Tank crew, don't ever say that sentence. Like, if you ever, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't, those words can't come out your mouth, man. Like, like,
see you later.
If you, like, the first word, if you're having a life-changing experience or you're trying to change your life and it's an opportunity, don't ever let the words "I'm too busy." You better find time. I don't care if you have to, you might miss some NFL on Sunday. Yeah, you might miss the big college game. You may even have to, if how bad you want it, miss a birthday, a family get together. You're that really big event you were looking forward to. But if you want it bad enough, I'm telling you right now, like, don't ever say you're too busy because those words can't come out of your mouth.
And here's the other one too, and you'll identify with this. It's like, oh well, I really want to learn martial arts, but I don't have the money, right? Or whatever. Like, I want to do soft development, but I don't have the money. If you want it bad enough, you're going to borrow some money. You wanted those 20-inch rims on your Cutlass Supreme. Shit, those were $5,000 rims right there. You spent, you know what I mean? You put that on credit and you're still paying for it. Like, that has nothing to do with your self-development.
Like, the coach may say, listen, you're a good kid. I may need you to sweep the gym, right? Like, okay, like, I need you to show me your report card every single week. Here's my mom. I got to learn this, man. Like, and they'll say, okay, man, normally I charge this, but, now if you quit on me, then I'm going to have a problem. But if you stick it out, I'll work a deal out with you. You know what I mean? Like, it really, and that's one of the reasons why, when it came to this podcast, I was so adamant about talking to people like yourself, because these are the stories that are making on TV. These are the businesses that are in our stories and corners of the earth that I believe that were worthy of, my own personal interest in getting similar people like yourself on here. So I've always asked this of every guest, and I will continue to ask this. How can people find Raul T. Pereira? That name still trips me up.
It's beautiful. Hey, but you're trying, and I love it. Most people don't care. So I love you. Okay. Well, the best way is, you can connect. You can find me on LinkedIn, Raul T. Pereira. I actually I'm a solopreneur. I do have my own company, and I'm doing this, going all in on coaching. And the name of my company is called RTP Learning. And really quick side note, RTP is my initials, Raul Torres Pereira. So it's the RTP Learning, and my mom's is a first generation Mexican immigrant. And when the nurse asked her, "Do you want a middle name for your son?" she said yes, but she put her maiden name because of the mistranslations. So her maiden name is my middle name. So it's Raul Torres Pereira. Such a funny story, but you can contact me there. I have my challenge. If you're ready to do it, it's rtplearning.com/tiny, small challenge, TINY, tiny. If not, just reach out. I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook. Raul T. Pereira. You could go to my website and contact me there. I would love to, even if it's just saying hello to me. It's like, hey, I heard you on Tron. Yeah. How's it going, Raul? Hey, let's connect.
And that's what this is all about, the human connection and human spirit and the personal growth and connection. So I want to thank you for your time. I feel like I could talk to you for internally. Life has limits and times, unfortunately. Yeah. But I look forward to following up and wish you nothing but continued success. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Raul T. Pereira, thank you so much on the Tron podcast, sir.